Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Talos of Tech live on YouTube. We don't do these too often. It's kind of a special occasion. But if you want more live content, we do it much more often on Twitch. But I like to do it on YouTube occasionally so that the rest of the audience is aware and we get this share of the audience happy with some live content. So thank you for tuning in. Got already some topics people were asking in the chat before we began. People were asking if the iPad Pro is coming out this year, which is still a maybe. It's not something confirmed to be happening at the September event. In fact, it's more likely that they're going to have a Mac/iPad event in October. That's usually how things go in the past. But there is like a very small chance that they would just announce everything at this event. I don't know for sure, but I wouldn't count on it. Like, if you really need an iPad now, don't absolutely count that there's going to be a new iPad Pro coming out in September. There's a chance that could be wait until October, or it could even be in March. We don't know. They're messing around with the lineup right now because usually iPad Pros only get refreshed every 18 months. This is changing that up a lot because we are nowhere near 18 months since the last iPad Pro release. Plus, the most recent generation iPad Pro that's almost a year old is still very, very up-to-date, undefeated in regards to competition, and just an overall great product. Even if you bought it now, it would still hold up very, very well. If there is a new iPad Pro, it would be an S year because physically it would look probably almost the same. The only thing they would likely add is a triple camera on the back. That's what the rumors are saying, which I don't think most people would be sold by. I think most people who want the triple camera are just going to upgrade to the latest iPhone, not upgrade their iPad, which is... It's not bad at photography and videography. It's just not as common as the iPhone is for photo and video purposes. Like, I'm a vlogger. I do a lot of vlogging, so it would make no sense for me to vlog on the iPad compared to vlogging on the iPhone, which can fit in my gimbal, and I can carry that around. Plus, it's just more convenient, so that's a small reason. Or perhaps they want to improve the CPU a little bit, but most likely wouldn't be that much better than the A12X chip because it hasn't even been a year since the last iPad Pro. But, anywho, for those of you who don't know, YouTube members and Super Chats will be prioritized. So if you're a YouTube member, that's a one-time payment, $5, and then I'll be able to see your question much easier in the chat than everyone else's. And then people who donate directly, obviously, I'm going to prioritize those. Not that I'm going to ignore everyone else, but they have priority. So David Morgan was the first super chatter of today. Thank you very much. Says, thanks for the videos, Drew. How much will AirPods Pros cost in your opinion, and will they come at this event? There's a chance they will. There's been light talk of that. I think it's a pretty good chance that they would want to launch the AirPods wearable with the new iPhone, especially if they have some ready. So I would say a pretty good chance of AirPods coming at this event. Whether or not they'll be called AirPods Pro or just the new generation AirPods, I don't know. But if it was my guess of how much they'll cost, probably somewhere between $250 and $300, because Apple's not known for being cheap, and also there's a pretty big change coming to all of Apple pretty soon, because tomorrow there's this big annoying import tariff that's being instigated on a lot of Apple's products. Luckily, it doesn't apply to the iPhone just yet. So hopefully that means that all of the iPhones this year are going to be the same price as last year. Not a price hike as for now. That could change because there is probably an import tariff going to apply to the iPhones later this year into December or perhaps in 2020. It depends kind of how things legally go. But the AirPods will be affected, so there's a good chance that the new generation ones are going to be much more expensive than before. Could end up being like $250, $300. I know people aren't going to like that, but AirPods are incredibly popular. A lot of people were very willing to pay for the ones they have now, so Apple's just kind of testing their limits and seeing how high they can really price this thing. Quentin Williams also super chatted and said 2019 Apple Watch. So all we really know right now is that there's new finishes coming. That's the majority of the leaks we know. Whether or not that will be a Series 5 or a Series 4, I'm kind of on the fence on. It would make the most amount of sense given Apple has usually upgraded the Apple Watch these last few years every September with the new iPhone. So for the sake of tradition, there should be a new one, but we know very little about it. The leaks have been incredibly quiet in regards to any kind of design changes or features being added. If there is anything added, it's likely going to be microscopic changes, CPU improvements, maybe just the chip on the inside getting a little bit faster. I don't know, like very, very small changes. Aesthetically, it will likely look very similar to the Series 4, which is why I am not totally convinced I'm getting the Series 5 this year. I might just skip it entirely. If it's just slightly new finishes and new colors and the CPU is a little faster, I don't really care. I'll keep my Series 4. It's holding up fine. I spent a lot of money on it. I don't want to just buy a whole new watch just because the CPU is fine on this. I have no CPU problems with all of my 4K video editing on my Apple Watch, so it doesn't really matter to me. I'm excited too, Danny. I'm looking forward to this event. I know it's not the most exciting of events. It's not like there's going to be a ton of stuff announced, and we know a lot about what's going to be announced. Yes, one of the rumored things from Bloomberg was that there would be a cheaper HomePod that would be more affordable. That's possible. That's kind of interesting. I'm hoping for a bit of surprises. That's why in the last video I talked a little bit about the tile tracker things, because that actually sounds kind of interesting. I would definitely get that for my keys or even my wallet if I could stuff it in there somehow, so I could track it if I need to. Let's see. Do you like fruit roll? Yes, I love fruit roll-ups. Would you ever have a VR compatible iPhone? I've dreamed about it the other day. I'm not super into VR. I've tried it. I've tried the Oculus. I tried the Vive. I've tried phone VR. It's just, it doesn't sell me too much. It's not that interesting of a technology to me. It doesn't feel like a virtual world. It just feels like you found out how to replace the mouse with my neck motions using a gyroscope, which I'm not like amazed by. Michael Huron, super chatted $5, says there was a report on Forbes' website that claims everything we know about the iPhone 11 rumors are wrong. What do you think? I think it's a Forbes article, which should speak for itself. Sorry, I said Forbes. Forbes is statistically and consistently known in the past for not being too reliable and always being against Apple. And we have lots and lots of people who have very credible track records all giving us the same information. So I'm not saying, ooh, look at that fancy animation over there. Thank you, Adaptive Tech. I'm going to move this thing over here. That way it's a bit out of the way. Thank you for these donations. I'll get to you guys in a second. I don't think that when we have people like Slash Leaks and we have people like Bloomberg and Ben Geskin, all who have very reputable track records, all kind of agreeing on a similar design, that likely means it's it. Anything is possible. Nothing is 100% confirmed until Apple actually unveils it, but literally every single year, there are always people that are looking at all the leaks that we're all reporting on that are almost always right, and there's always some guy that shows up and says, you know what? What if all of this is a hoax? This is all just they're trolling us, and it's actually going to be totally different. I've heard the same comment for the past 4 years, and that person has never ended up being right. It's never been like, oh, that leak was totally wrong, and it was way different than we actually thought. That's never ended up happening. Maybe one day if it does happen, I'll be more susceptible to believe that person. But until that day comes, I'm not going to believe it. Anytime someone does that, I'm just going to be like, yeah, but that usually doesn't happen. When we have all these very reputable people reporting the same things, they're probably right. Most likely going to be right. All right, Kevin Schneider donated $10. Thank you very much. Says, why does the iPhone's laminated motherboard separating so much, and why has Apple not said anything yet, even with thousands of customers affected already? I don't know. I don't work for Apple support. That's a great question. I know very little about it because I am not a repairman. I am just a consumer buyer guide, basically, who has an open bias towards Apple. No, I don't really have a legitimate answer for you. I'm not going to pretend like I know much about that subject because I don't. I've never heard of the laminated motherboard separating so much. I've never heard of that problem, but I appreciate the donation. Sorry, I don't know too much about it, but Apple's probably not said much about it because it's likely affecting a very small number of people. If thousands of customers are affected, that's like less than 0.1% of their customers, so it's not a huge issue, but it's an issue nonetheless. I'm sure I'll have to look more into it. Huge super chat from Adaptive Tech. Thank you incredibly so much. Record holder for this live stream, probably for the rest of this live stream. Adaptive Tech donated $50. Holy crap. Says, love your channel, Drew. Here's some cash for the new iPhones and maybe Apple Watch. And do you think Apple should make an over-ear type of headphone? I would love those. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. I want them to. I remember seeing leaks for it earlier this year that they were working on over-ears, but those leaks have all gone silent, and I haven't seen anyone bring it up in a long time, so that makes me think it's not going to happen. And that's sad to me because I really wanted to. I would really, really love to see Apple make their own over-ears. I would totally buy them because of my sheepness, but also just because I really enjoy my AirPods. I enjoy the simplicity of them, and I'm sure with the audio quality and attention they put into the HomePod, they would put those into over-ears and make them unique in some way, and I would totally get those if they came out. But I can't necessarily say that it's something I think is likely because the rumors and the leaks for those have gone completely silent. Maybe they canceled the project altogether and they just decided to focus on new AirPods. That could be what they did. I don't know for sure, but that's all I know for now. I hope that happens. But yes, Adaptive Tech. Thank you for the big dono. Appreciate that. Rams super chatted, says, hey man, just bought MacBook Air 2016 i7 and I love it. I hate the new MacBook Pro and Airs. Do you think it was it was good to get it? I am a student. I'm for everyone just getting what they want. It doesn't matter what I think. What matters is if you wanted that thing, that you got it and you don't feel bad about it. That's the whole purpose of my channel, was not to convince everyone to buy an iPhone. It's to convince everyone that you're not wrong to like a product. That's the main thing. So yeah, I'm happy for it. If you enjoy it, and that's what you said in your super chat. If you love it, then great. I'm for you getting what you want. I don't hate the new MacBook Pros and Airs, but most of my work gets done on my iMac Pro anyway, so I'm not too heavy of a laptop user anymore. Used to be like my main editing rig, but times have changed quite a bit. What features would the new AirPods have? Based on what I've seen in the past, the leaks mostly said that they would have either like a new matte finish, sort of like the Apple Pencil 2, being less glossy, which would go along with the idea of the new iPhones having more of a frosted glass on the back, a bit more of a matte finish compared to the glossy we have now. So if they updated the AirPods with hopefully better sound quality, whether that's like better bass or more range or something, or some reports said better water resistance, which would be kind of cool if they had kind of like a more certified water resistance, so you could jump in a pool or wear them in the rain. Even though AirPods do kind of handle well in water pretty nicely already. You can get AirPods decently wet, and they'll usually be okay. But those are the mains one I saw was audio quality, performance, water resistance, the matte finish, and the other thing was active noise cancellation. Potentially a version of AirPods that would help cancel out background audio if you wanted to. Whether or not all those things are coming or some of them are coming, obviously we don't know, but those are some of the potential new features. If there are going to be any, that could be them. Hopefully there's something secret we haven't predicted, like maybe being able to change the volume using the stem of the AirPods. I think that would be kind of dope, but we'll see. I'm excited. Quentin Williams super chatted again, says, I fail to understand why Apple is still clinging to Lightning. Also, love your content. Yeah, I'm the kind of guy that adapts very quickly. Like, I don't care if we're ditching an old port for a new port because I don't mind buying adapters or dongles as long as the new port is better. And when the first MacBook came out and it was USB-C, I was totally for it because USB-C sounded better in every single way. It was like, okay, we have one port that can do everything now, and it's like when the Thunderbolt 3 came out, it's the same shape and everything. I'm like, great, let's get everything over to that. I don't care. I'll buy new adapters. I'll buy new chargers. I don't mind that kind of thing. I'm not the average consumer, though. There's a bunch of average consumers out there that Apple is likely taking into consideration. I'm trying to remember the title of the video, but Renee Ritchie did a great job. Even though I'm not in favor of keeping Lightning, I'm like, kill Lightning, get rid of it on everything as soon as possible. He did a great like devil's advocate as to why Lightning has stayed for so long, and a lot of it has to do with the average consumer not wanting to buy new accessories, new chargers, new cables, and how confusing it would get whenever Apple does switch to USB-C for the everyday person. For us techies, we don't care. In fact, we would love it. We would be so happy. Personally, I feel like if Apple's going to force Thunderbolt 3 on their MacBook users and on new iPad Pro users, then they need to be okay with switching to USB-C for everybody else. If you're okay with doing it on the Macs, then, walk the walk with the rest of your design. So be okay with that on all your devices. If you're gonna force people into Thunderbolt 3, or if you're gonna force people into USB-C, go all the way. Don't go halfway. Don't just do it with Macs and iPad Pros. Do it with all the iPads. Do it with all the iPhones. Just commit. That's all I'm saying. Just go all in. Ty Forte super chatted as well. Says, do 16-inch design change MacBook Pro at the event? Just got one, and now I have no clue what's happening. No one has any clue what is really happening with the 16-inch MacBook Pro. It's still up in the air. It's not something confirmed to be coming out at this event, but it is something that's possible because we've been hearing so much about it, and there's a few leakers that have suggested, like Ming-Chi Kuo. He said that it's coming out at the September event, which isn't likely, given this is primarily an event about the iPhone, the Apple Watch, probably AirPods and that kind of thing. If maybe there's not so much to talk about with the iPhones and the Apple Watch, maybe they just want to get it over with and launch the new iPads and new MacBooks all at this event. We're not sure, but we're pretty sure that a 16-inch MacBook Pro with a scissor key mechanism, like the old-fashioned style instead of butterfly keys, is coming. We just don't know exactly when. Could be October event. That's more likely and goes more consistently with their previous events, but they could pull something different. There have been events in the past where they update like everything, where they update the iPhone, they update the watch, they update the MacBook and the iMac. They'll just change everything. It depends. Did they update the audio for the new AirPods? Because I have the first pair and my brother has the second pair, but his sounds so much louder, or is it just because mine are older, so are quieter? Most likely that. In regards to sound performance, most people, I think even Apple has confirmed they didn't change on the second generation, but when you use first-generation AirPods for a long, long time, that builds up earwax and the lithium gets weaker and weaker over time, it's likely that your first-gen AirPods very slowly get worse in sound quality without you really noticing it. And then when you just buy a brand-new pair of AirPods, they sound better because they're all clear and it's a fresh battery and everything. So I don't think there was any sound difference between the two generations, but I could be wrong. I don't think I'm wrong. Not on that one. Are we getting the Apple Watch 5 in September? I don't know if it's the Apple Watch 5, but it'll be a new Apple Watch. There will be a titanium one and a ceramic one. Maybe they'll brand it as Series 5, but I don't know for sure. iPad mini needs a spec update like the Pro. What kind of spec? It has an A12 chip. What more do you want? You want the A12X in the mini? Why? What do you need? What do you want to edit the 4K at 60 video on your iPad mini? I mean, I agree they could just give it the iPad Pro treatment and give it thin bezels and no home button and a USB-C, but that's not really spec. That's more of a design change. I would say the iPad mini is fine with its specs. It just means more of a, what's it called? It needs more of a design upgrade to be more like the iPad Pro. How long do you think the current gen iPad Pro will last? Well, it depends on what you mean on last. Are you referring to like how long Apple will continue to sell it, or how long can you buy it and use it? In regards to how long you can buy it and keep using it, probably a good 5 to 6 years of software updates. A12X chip is really fast, so it can probably get years and years of support. But in regards to how long they're selling it, they'll probably stop selling it as soon as the new iPad Pros come out, which probably won't look that different. Will 2020 iPhones have USB-C? No one knows. Don't believe anyone who knows or claims to know what the 2020 iPhones are going to have. Don't believe anyone. If they, I don't know who it is. If some YouTuber says like, well, the 2020 iPhone will have ProMotion and a smaller notch, and all of that is conceptual. We're basing it off of very, very distant leaks. I've made videos on it just because leakers are talking about it. They're discussing it, but nothing is like absolutely happening because Apple doesn't even know what they're doing next year. They're focusing on releasing this year's iPhones and figuring out what for next year they're going to do, like what can we mass produce, what can we afford to put in, what is going to make it too expensive. That's all up in the air right now. The 2020 iPhone has not been finalized. It won't be finalized until May of next year. That's when they all go into mass production. So don't believe anyone that claims they know what's happening in the 2020. Everything is possible. It's like, will they get USB-C? Maybe they could, but nothing's for sure. Definitely not. Are there any Samsung ads you've actually liked? Man, I don't know. I've never seen a Samsung commercial that I was just like, wow, that was really good. They always make me laugh, especially in hindsight when they do everything that they're mocking Apple for doing. That makes me laugh. People are asking about the Galaxy Fold. I haven't received any updates from Samsung. I mean, Samsung issued a statement that they would be releasing the Fold in September, but they didn't say what day in September. There's been some rumors going around that it's like the 9th for Korea, but I don't know what it is for the rest of the world. I still have my reservation. I when they asked if I wanted to keep my order, I said, yes, keep my order, and I haven't heard from them since. So I don't know. If it's available to ship in September, I'll get it as much as possible. I'll try to get it as much as possible. I ordered it directly from Samsung. It's not a Best Buy or AT&T situation where they just canceled everybody's orders. To my knowledge, my order has not been canceled. If they do end up canceling my order, they did it without my permission and without notifying me. What would you compare to what fit in the third? What would you compare to what would fit in the third row of the Tesla Model Y? That's an odd question, but I like that it's Tesla related. Basically, what the Model Y is good for is just like your kids. If you're like in a family and you want to have kids in the back, I mean, the two seats in the back of the Model Y are not super spacious in that third row, but that's because there's probably just going to be children back there for the most part, which still be plenty comfortable. I mean, most SUVs I've been in, the third row is never very spacious. So when I found out the Model Y back row wasn't spacious, I was like, well, what more do you want? You want a Hummer? You want a giant H2 in the back? I missed the dongle ads by Samsung. Oh, yeah, they got rid of all those. I hope Apple releases the AirPods in black. Me too. I would definitely be getting those. Whatever third-generation AirPods they launch, I'll probably be getting. I love my AirPods, and I always want the best there are as much as they can. Let's see. Is there any hope for surprise is USB-C this year? Sorry, Donovan. I don't think so. I'm like 100% confident there will not be USB-C on this year's iPhones. Maybe in the packaging, there's a good chance that these year's iPhones might ship with a fast charger with Lightning to USB-C. So in a way, they ship with USB-C. Not quite. Will there be a graphene battery for Tesla, Drew? You know, there's been people talking about graphene batteries for years, that there's this new battery technology that's going to change the industry, but no one has implemented it yet. So it's clearly not ready for consumer markets. It's still in the conceptual phases right now, but it feels like it's just around the corner every year. I remember people talking about graphene batteries like 5 years ago, and it still hasn't made its way into like everyday products. So I don't think there will be a graphene battery on a Tesla in a long time, but I don't think a graphene battery will ever be in like anything in a long, long time. Should I get the iPad Pro 2018 or wait for the iPad Pro 2019? The thing is, if you need it immediately or if you need it quickly, I would just get it now. If you want to wait for the 2019 one, you could be waiting for a long time because you have to consider, what if these leaks and analysts are wrong? What if they got the timing off and there is no 2019 iPad Pro and they're actually not releasing it until March or June of next year? So you could be waiting a while if you decide to wait. If it's not that important to you, you're just thinking about it, maybe consider waiting for this event. We could learn more about it after this, but no, I think that you're not gonna, you don't feel cheaped out if you end up buying the 2018 iPad Pro and then the 2019 one comes out. Okay, this isn't that similar to iPhones because the iPad Pro 2018 is still incredibly ahead of its time with its CPU speed, with its display, with its biometric, the lightness of it, the camera, like it's all great. Whatever they're going to add to the 2019 or 2020 iPad Pro, it's not going to be a substantial upgrade. It's going to be a little bit faster CPU, 3 cameras on the back, which you'll probably never use, and honestly, those are the two major things. So if those two things feel like big features to you, I guess consider waiting, but I doubt most people are going to utilize those two features. The A12X chip is still plenty quick. I don't think the A13X is ever going to make your A12X feel slow. They're probably going to be very, very close together. Is the 16-inch MacBook Pro coming out this year? Probably. I would say like a 80 to 90% chance of it coming out. It's just a question of September or October. We don't know for sure, but there's been lots of leakers and lots of analysts saying that it's coming this year. So pretty good chance. Fast charging degrade your battery faster? It does, but Apple has instituted optimized battery charging on all devices running iOS 13, which, of course, all the new iPhones shipping this year will be shipping with that feature. And it's on by default, by the way. As soon as you install iOS 13, they have already turned on optimized battery charging, which will preserve your battery even when fast charging, which directly addresses the thing in my fast charger video of Apple didn't want to ship fast chargers because they knew it would degrade the battery faster normally. So now they've added the feature in iOS 13 to preserve the battery even when charging it with a fast charger. So that could speak evidence to them shipping with faster chargers this year. Not the fastest charge, not 45 watts or anything, just probably an 18 watt like the iPad Pro ships with. And it could only be for the pros, and then the budget model won't have a fast charger, possibly. Wireless charging degrades your battery life more. I haven't seen any evidence of it. I've seen people in principle say that. They were like, well, it heats up the battery, so it degrades your battery life more. But I have only charged with inductive charging with my 10S Max, which has been used every single day since launch day. Only charged via Qi. Guess what the battery health is at? 100. Full battery health. Completely healthy. 100%. And it's almost a year old. Next month, it will be a year old, and it's still at 100% battery health. And I know people who have fast charged their 10S Max that don't have the privilege of saying they still have 100%. There's a lot of people that have degraded already by several percent down to 95, 94 because of them fast charging their iPhone XS Max. Or I've even seen people with 5-watt charge bricks that have degraded. It's not all just dependent on the charging speed. It also has a lot to do with how often you keep it at 100 and how often you let it die. It depends. It kind of goes back and forth. Latrell super chatted. He says, have you seen the First We Feast video with Marquez and Casey? You got to watch it. I did watch it. It was pretty good. The questions weren't as juicy as I was hoping, but I know they gotta keep their relationships good with these YouTubers, so they can't get too personal. But no, it was fun. It was fun. I check into First We Feast pretty often. It's funny. Does it look like the iPad 10.2-inch would be something worth getting over the iPad Pro for daily work, or is the iPad Pro just much better than what we think the iPad 10.2-inch will be? Well, right now, I don't think they're quite comparable. From what I've heard about the 10.2-inch iPad, it sounds like it's going to be filling in the budget role of the basic, $330 iPad, which means it'll probably have like Touch ID, home button, probably not as good a CPU as the iPad Pro. I don't think it'll be that comparable to the iPad Pro. I think it could maybe even not have a laminated display for all we know. It's probably just going to be aimed at a budget audience, which means there's a very good chance it won't there's a pretty good chance it won't compare to what the iPad Pro can offer. Like completely opposite ends of the iPad spectrum versus Pro versus consumer. That one will be very much more for like extreme basic iPad tasks, not so many fancy features like the iPad Pro. Let's see. My sister's 10R went below 82% battery health last month and had to be replaced. Oof. My goodness. Will Apple focus on budget iPhones more after the success of the 10R? I think they're just rebranding them a little bit. I mean, the lineup isn't that different from the lineup isn't that different from last year. Like, it's all the same screen sizes, and from the front, they're all going to be identical. It's very similar to the iPhone 7. It's very similar to the iPhone 7 launch in that, like, aesthetically not much has changed, but under the hood there's a lot of features. I think this year's iPhones are going to be more of an upgrade than people make them out to be. On paper, when you just look at them, they're going to look very similar to the 2018 ones, but there's going to be a lot of under the hood changes, plus the triple camera support and all that, and the better excuse me, better battery lives, things like that will that will make the day-to-day stuff more noticeable, but just on surface level, they won't feel like big upgrades at all. Jonathan Hessler super chatted says, how long did it take you to get to 1,000 subs on YouTube? Well, if it depends on when you're asking. If you're asking when I started my tech channel, then I started in 2014, and I think I hit 1,000 in 2016, so probably around 2 years. But I had been doing YouTube for many, many years before that. My first YouTube channel, which I'm not going to tell you what it is because it's still public, and I don't know how to take it down. One day, I've made the vow, if I ever reach 1 million subscribers, I will tell everybody where all my old channels are. They're still floating around out there. A lot of people haven't found them yet. Some people have found a few of them, but not the most embarrassing ones. One day I'll tell you all where they are, and you can see how embarrassing they are. But right now, it's still too soon. But I started doing YouTube in like 2009. So if you consider that, it took me 5 years of doing YouTube videos and trying out new things. I did comedy skits for a while. I did serious short films for a while. I tried acting in them. I tried just directing them, and then I moved into tech channels, and then I did a lot of gaming stuff as well. And it took me like a good 2 years of doing tech videos that no one watched before anyone started paying attention to them. And if you consider before that, there was a lot of other videos. So it basically in total took me like 5 years of YouTube before I hit 1,000 subscribers. So it was not the classic like overnight success or what a lot of people say of like, well, I was just doing YouTube for fun, but then it started taking off and it turned into a job. Like my job, like I wanted this to be my job from the very beginning. As soon as I started making YouTube videos, I really wanted them to go viral so that it could become my career. That was the goal from the beginning, not just because I wanted money, but because I wanted this to be my job. I wanted this to be something I could do for a living. And I knew if I could get paid for it, then it could be my full-time job. And you guys have made that dream come true. So thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, I'm 21 years old. What is your view on the future of MacBook Pros? Will they still be soldered, you think, or will they be replaceable RAM/HDD? Well, if you know anything about Apple, I doubt they're going to make them more repairable or more upgradable. But you gotta remember what the legacy of the MacBook Pro was. Was the goal of the MacBook Pro to always have the better specs of the competition? Was it always to be the most modular laptop? Did Apple make the MacBook Pro so that it could be super repairable and super upgradable and you could open it up? No, that wasn't why Apple made it. The main goal of the MacBook Pro was to be a simple, easy to understand, powerful laptop that was thin and light and easy for you to throw in a bag. That it's just meant for a convenience factor. That's what Apple's whole philosophy has been with laptops since the beginning, is to make them easy and thin and light and simple. Not to make them upgradable, not to make them repairable. That's never been the goal from the very beginning. If another company wants to pursue that, then by all means go for it. But Apple has had very much success over the past decade with their MacBooks, and I think they should cater to the ideology and the main purpose of them, which was to make them thin and light and powerful enough, not the most powerful for the buck, because a lot of people will show you like, well, this laptop can do this for cheaper. It's not about that. They want to control the OS and the hardware, so it's one simple integrated experience, and it'll last a long, long time. And that's why there's been a lot of MacBook Pros that can last a long, long time. The purpose of them was never to just be user customizable. That's never been the priority. Someone said, it's 1 a.m. in England. Can't watch you live. Love your channel, man. Oh, thank you, iTech Talk. Hope you have a good night. Sorry it's late. I wish I could stream at a time that was good for everyone, but I've discovered that that's simply impossible. There's never a good time for everyone. Bandmade Sheep fully supports you reach 1 million subs. Thank you. Looking forward to hitting 1 million when I'm 80 years old someday. What about this question? Why is Media Encoder stopping a render with an error that says I could not locate a file when After Effects locates the file just fine? No idea. I quit using Adobe a long time ago because they sucked, at least for me. I know some people like Adobe, but for me, like, their programs were performing worse than Apple's first-party programs, optimization-wise. The exporting took longer, and they had way more bugs. They would have these updates that happen all the time, but then it would just break the software, and it wouldn't work that well. It was slow, and then it was expensive because it was a monthly subscription. I was paying $30 a month for it, and then they notified me that they were raising it to $50 a month. And I was like, what do I get? What's the benefit? What am I getting for this extra $20 a month? And they were like, nothing. We're just raising it to 50 for no reason. They just wanted more money. So they were like, hey, we're going to charge you more money now. And I was like, $50 a month for these crappy apps that keep breaking? And I had all kinds of problems like the one you just described, where something would work fine and then an update would happen and then it wouldn't work anymore. And that kept happening over and over again. And I used their software for 6 years. I paid for Creative Cloud for 6 years straight. That was like my go-to editing program. I knew it backwards and front. And then as soon as their programs were sucky and they finally just showed up and then asked for more money, even though the program seemed to be getting worse, I was like, no, I'll find alternatives. Like I used After Effects and Photoshop for a bunch of stuff, but I was like, I'll find alternatives. I've heard of alternatives. I'll just go look them up. And I did. I found one-time purchase alternatives like Affinity Photo, which was, I think on desktop it was $50. On the iPad it was $20, which seems like expensive for an app, but if you consider it's one time, you buy it once and you're done, and then you get updates for life. And they work almost exactly the same. There's slight changes, but the layout and everything is incredibly similar to Photoshop, which is why I always bring that up when people are like, when is Adobe Photoshop coming to the iPad? I'm like, it's already there. It's just not the same brand. It works the exact same way. You guys just don't want to use something with a different logo. You're just used to Photoshop, so it has to be Photoshop. And you call me the sheep. I know. People, I've been told I look much older than I am my whole life, but it's all in the beard. If I shave this beard, you guys would all say I look 14. I know because it's happened before. Last year, in fact, I think I shaved my beard off, and everyone was like, oh, my God, you're a little kid. But I like the beard because I like looking older than I am because people feel like I have more, I don't know, value or age or experience or some kind. And then when I'm older and I start actually aging, I'll just shave this off and look younger. So I'll look the same age for a very long period of time. Should work out. I don't drink, no. I don't even drink coffee, by the way. And I wake up at 3:45 a.m. every day, which is pretty crazy. I'm proud of that. But I've tried coffee. I just don't like it. And I am 21, so I have tried alcohol, but I didn't like the taste of it, so I don't drink it. Tech question. Are you an AI robot? Yes, I am not real. That is correct. That's how good AI has gotten. Oh, sorry. Teen Tech News Super Chat. It says, can I shout out my tech YouTube channel? There it is. Teen Tech News. There's a shout out. And thank you for the donation. Appreciate it. Good luck with you and your channel. Are you getting the iPhone 11? Yes, but that's not what it's going to be called. Most likely going to be called iPhone Pro, and I'm getting both. I'll be getting, if you want the more specific ones I'm referring to, the XR successor and the XS successor. I'll be getting both and reviewing both of them. I'll spend a good amount of time with both of them, but my daily driver is going to be the successor to the XS Max because I want that triple camera. I'm really excited for that camera. What is your honest opinion on jailbreaking? I can tell you without an ounce of lying in my heart, I do not give a crap. I've been asked that for so many years. They always ask me that. I've seen some neat jailbreaks, but none of them look worth it to me for all the things you have to do to make it happen. I'm like, oh, that's cool, but I would much rather just stay with the iOS version I'm on. iOS gets better every year. Some people like all these little customizable tweaks and stuff. I don't care about all that. All of them have looked completely useless to me, and a lot of them are just aesthetic-based, and I don't care that much about that. It's just for all the work you have to put into them. I'm sure all the jailbreakers out there are just like, it's not that hard. It's quite simple, actually. I don't need to complicate my life any further. The reason I get an iPhone, the reason I go with Apple, is because I don't have to set up the software on my phone. I don't have to customize every little launch screen and skin pack. And I don't want to I just want it to work. I don't need it to be overly complicated. That's why I don't care about jailbreak. Anywho, which iPhone is the best value for the price? I mean, that changes depending on everyone's income situation. Probably the cheapest one. Take it that way. Love the new setup, Drew. Thank you, Danny. I'm glad people like the new setup. I know it's kind of basic, but yeah, we bought a house and we're very happy with it. And I like my new office. It's much better than my last one. Adaptive Tech super chatted again. Thank you. He said, personally, I think it's going to be iPhone 11 and iPhone 11 Pro because if they go with iPhone 2019, then in 2020 it will seem inferior. I don't think they've done this with other lineups in the past. I think they're just modeling it very closely to the iPad lineup, with the exception they're not doing the Air and the Mini, obviously. But so like to me, it's simplifying it because honestly, Apple doesn't care about the numbers or the pronunciation. I mean, 10s Max, really? Everyone's gonna say XS Max. It's just so confusing that they released the phone with the Roman numeral. There's still people I hear today that say iPhone X. They don't care about all that. All they care about is how the branding looks on the side of the box. As long as that looks cool, they're fine with it. And I just feel like at this point, Apple's going to be totally fine. Since we know from CoinX that they're moving to the Pro naming scheme, if that's anything like the iPad naming scheme, it's just iPad Pro. They never said iPad Pro 3 or iPad 2 Pro or iPad. They never added a number. Pro was always just a singular suffix. MacBook Pro, iPhone Pro, iPad Pro. It's always just the one extra word. Some people say iPhone Pro Max or iPhone 11 Pro Max, and I'm just like, that's not – it's never worked that way with the rest of their lineup. It's all just about how the text appears in commercials, and they'll just call it the new iPhone because it's a more affordable one. What does Apple call their most affordable iPad? iPad. They keep it simple. They keep the branding easy to understand. They don't stick with numbers forever. So that's why, personally, I think they're just going to call it iPhone, iPhone Pro. I could be wrong. I don't know for sure. Yeah, someone who have you applied for Apple Card? Do you watch my videos, boy? Quentin Williams, I appreciate the donation, but I did do quite an extensive video on the Apple Card with my Apple Card in the thumbnail. How many YouTubers post their credit card on their videos? Yes, I have the Apple Card. I've been using it since the day I returned to the U.S., but yes, I have it. Rockford Tech, thank you for the donation. Says server crash, can't give more money. Sorry, I need to conserve money. Conserve money, dude. You don't even need to donate that one if you're conserving money. But thank you, appreciate that. Conserve your money. You don't need to donate. Don't feel obligated to. Do you ever think about working for Apple? Not really. I don't think they would have a job that I would be very good at. I think I'm very good at being a creator and running a channel and talking about lots of different technology. I don't know what I could do for Apple that they would pay me for. I can't think of a position that they would want me to do. If they put me in charge of like marketing or something, I would probably screw it up because I would just want to directly call out the competition and be like, yeah, here's why iPhone's better. This is how they beat out Android. And they don't like doing that. They want to keep things all simple and basic and very clean and minimal with their ads, and I just wouldn't. So they probably wouldn't want me to do that. I don't think Apple would want to hire me. How do you think the smartphone market will change over the next few years? Will mid-tier budget phones take over, or will there always be a market for premium $1,000+ phones? Yeah, I think Jarek, I think it's a little of both. It's definitely going to be a very large demographic of people that are willing to pay for the mid-tier budget phones, but there's also a huge community of people that will willingly spend well over $1,000 on new iPhones every year because they use them so much. Our smartphones are very useful. We use them for a bunch of stuff. So a lot of people are willing to pay as much as Apple's asking for and more. A lot of people act like the prices are too expensive and they need to work on getting them down. But honestly, there are people that are going to gladly spend more than they're asking for right now. I guarantee you that. There's probably a ton of people that would gladly pay up to $2,000 for the new iPhone as long as it had all the newest features and it looked good. And you may say that's crazy, or $2,000. You could buy a really nice gaming PC with that. You can say that all you want, but you can't deny we use our phones a lot. We get a lot of features out of them. We get a lot of use out of them. So it's not out of the ordinary that some people who can afford it, or a lot of people pay monthly anyway, so it's not even that much more. They would gladly rather pay extra so that they have the nicest experience they can because we use our phones a lot. You still think the new iPad Pro is coming out? Well, eventually. We just don't know when. Is it worth getting the 11R or whatever the name's to be? Worth is subjective, people, as I always say. It depends on your financial situation. If you're in a place where you can afford it comfortably and you'll still have plenty of money left over and you'd like a new phone, yes, it's worth it. If you're not working, you don't have an income source, and you can barely afford a new iPhone as it is, probably shouldn't get it. Changes depending on the financial situation. There's no blanket good answer for that. $2 from, I'm sorry, Luo. I don't know how to pronounce your first name. What could be the next one more thing? Yeah, that's the thing. If everyone knew what the next one more thing would be, then it wouldn't be a one more thing, right? If there is something they're working on backstage or something they would unveil and shock everyone with, it would probably be something like augmented reality glasses or a car or something like that. But yeah, I don't expect a very surprising one more thing at the next Apple event. It's increasingly difficult to have a one more thing. When do you think Apple will drop a new Apple TV? I don't know. They don't really need a new one right now. What they would need is an Apple TV stick. I don't think we need a new TV box unless they can somehow make it cheaper because the current one is just too expensive. But if they made an Apple TV stick that was more affordable and wasn't so focused on game performance and was just trying to be a cheap TV dongle that you could plug in, then yeah, that's what the Apple TV market needs right now. Let's see. Apple's rebranding of their iPhones is similar to Samsung's rebranding with the Note 10 lineup. Maybe. Yeah, considering the big one is the Plus and the regular one is the the base model, just called the Note 10. As soon as you add that E onto it, everyone thinks it's a compromise phone, not the norm, not the default, not the standard. It's a whole other refresh. I really hope they throw more at it than just a typical S upgrade. This is the S year, though. It doesn't feel like it, but it is. I mean, if you go watch my video on why I'm trying to remember the name of it. But anyway, the iPhone 10 was ahead of its time. That was supposed to be an S year, and it wasn't. 2018 was supposed to be the big year, and then this year would be the S year. But Teen Tech News Super Chatted says, problem, no, but can we collab or live stream sometime? I wish I could. I have an incredibly busy schedule right now, but if you want to contact me, probably best way to do it is via Twitter, and I'll let you know if I have some free time. But hate to say it right now, I'm pretty busy, so it's going to be difficult to make time for collabs and collaborative live streams and stuff like that. So thank you for the dono, but I don't have a quick and easy answer for you right now. Pretty busy at the moment. Eon1 Super Chatted says, do you think that Google is going to switch to making their own chips, their devices, for better performance like Apple did? That would be smart. It would be interesting. I think it would be cool if Google wasn't so reliant on Google and their Qualcomm. That's the company I was thinking of. Qualcomm and their Snapdragon chips. And the timing of the Pixel launch could not be worse. They always release it like 8 months after the new Snapdragon chip came out. So that means the Pixel CPU is like dated for the majority of the time it's competing with all the other with all the other Androids out there. So if they had their own chip that could beat out Qualcomm, that would be great. That would be really cool, and it would make the launch period of the Pixel phones a lot more logical. But I also feel like if Google wanted to make their own custom silicon, we likely would have heard about it by now. We would have heard reports or articles that say Google is hiring CPU developers or Google hired this chipset developer from this company. We would see something, and we haven't. So more than likely, I don't think that's happening. It would be smart, but I don't think they're doing it. Google's not that smart. At least the Pixel team isn't that smart. I have an iPhone 10. Is the 11 worth the upgrade? Oh. Huge broomstick. Do you listen to the words I say? I appreciate the donation. Thank you very much for the support. But if you're gonna donate, at least listen. What I just said not 10 minutes ago was that worth depends on your financial situation. If you can afford it comfortably and you like the features and you want it, then yes, upgrade. If it's a reach for you and it's going to be difficult to afford and you don't have a good stable income or you owe other people money or you're paying off debt or there's better investments you could make with that money, then no, it's not worth it. Changes per person, okay? Don't just, please, people, I appreciate the donos, but please just don't ask, is this worth it? Because that's not a yes or no question. There's no way that can be a yes or no question because I don't know, unless you're going to go into your financial history, which in the length of a super chat, I don't know if you can. but the answer's in the details. It's not just a blanket. Yes, it is worth it. No, it is not worth it. They are constantly doing that. They have hired from Qualcomm, Samsung, Apple, LG, and even Intel. They are grabbing talent and building the capital to make chips, and they already have previous experience. Well, I haven't seen those headlines. I haven't seen those articles. Maybe they're sneaking in under the radar, but from what I've seen so far, I'm pretty sure the Pixel 4 is going to have a Snapdragon chip. It's early over here. My mind isn't working. It's all right. If you can afford it, that's the basic answer. If you can afford it comfortably and you'd like the changes that they talk about at this event, go for it. If you can't and it's a stretch, don't bother. Keep your 10. Your 10's probably going to be fine for several more years. They mean if it's a decent upgrade, smart. Again, that changes. Decent upgrade isn't worth it if you are barely scraping by and you don't have an income. I don't care if it's a decent upgrade. If you have debts to pay or you don't have any money for it, then no, it's not. Like, don't spend 90% of your money on a new iPhone, even if it's a substantial upgrade. If that's the question, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Yeah, but it would be a substantial. Yeah, but you'll have no money. An iPhone 10 is a perfectly decent phone. If you have to spend 90% of your net worth to get like a triple camera, it's not worth it. Rated Intellect asks, how are you enjoying your Apple Card? I love it. It's great. I get so many questions about it whenever I use it. And then Apple Pay is nice. I enjoy the cash rewards. I just paid it off today. I did my first Apple Card payment. And rewards have been good. I already have like $10, which, it's not a lot, but if you consider it's free, I didn't go out of my way to buy anything to get rewards. I just paid for things I would have paid for regardless. And I got $10 out of the Apple Card in less than a month. That can cover my Apple TV Plus subscription, which I won't be getting. Maybe my Apple Card rewards will pay for Disney Plus, a much better subscription. Apple Card's good. No complaints. I handed it to someone last night, and they asked me if I worked for Apple. They thought it was like a custom credit card that only Apple employees can get. So I handed it to them, and they're like, do you work for Apple? Are you an Apple employee? And I'm like, no. Those are free. They give them out to everybody. Easy Hockey Reviews, thank you for the super chat, says, thoughts on a potential new HomePod. It would be wonderful. I hope they make a cheaper one that still sounds good. It doesn't have to be dirt cheap $50 Echo Dot competitor, though that would be kind of cool. I would be fine with it if it was between $100 and $150. I think that's still within Apple's like sweet spot. They could definitely price it in there, and a lot more people would upgrade to it, especially if the sound quality was good. And the people I've talked to that got HomePods really like them. The people who don't get them obviously complain about them and it's too expensive. Series sucks. I don't like the HomePod. But everyone I've talked to that has a HomePod has really enjoyed it. They just that everyone agrees. Yeah, it's kind of expensive, but it does sound really, really good. And I love mine. I use them every day. They're great speakers. I agree with everyone. They're expensive. They're on the pricier side. If Apple made something that was a bit more manageable for more people, I think their HomePod sales could really do a lot better. $300 being your only smart speaker, they're not going to ship big numbers. No way. But no smart speaker at that price point ships well. So people are like, the HomePod, it doesn't sell well. It's like, well, no smart speaker in that department sells well. Google Home Max doesn't sell well. Amazon hasn't really made that expensive of a speaker, but I'm sure if they did, it probably wouldn't do as well as the rest. But Edvard super chatted, didn't say anything, but appreciate the dono. Drew, don't you rather that the iPhone comes with a MagSafe charger than USB-C? No, I don't. I do not give a crap about what kind of port the iPhone has because I charge everything via Qi. There's no wire I'm going to trip on. It's all inductive. I haven't plugged anything into my iPhone in the entire time I've owned it. So I don't need MagSafe. We have Qi now. MagSafe is pointless if you don't have a cable. I don't need a cable. I have enough money to buy AirPods, but are they worth it, or do I just use the dongle? If it's not a question of do you have enough, it's can you comfortably afford it. Like if it wipes out 90% of your net worth, no. If you can buy, like a good general rule, because I know there's a lot of youngins out there who maybe don't have jobs and you just get money from your birthdays or from random grandma gigs you get, and you get to mow grandma's lawn and you get money occasionally. Like I would say, here's a general rule you youngins can follow. If you can buy 4 to 5 of the thing you want, then sure, go for it. That means you can comfortably afford it. So if you want AirPods and they're $200, if you have $1,000, then yes, you can comfortably afford them. I wouldn't have the same logic if you were working. I would probably change the rules up a little bit. But if we're just talking about the youngins who aren't working but they still have money and you're wondering what to do with your birthday check or something like that, then I would say rule of 5. If you can buy 5 of them, great. When are the Tech Talks podcasts coming back? Thank you for asking that and for donating, Cameron Owens. We just recorded the first episode of the Tailosive Tech Podcast Series 3 earlier today. The boys, Nick and Randy, are working on it right now, and it should be up on September 2nd. So just a couple days away, Tech Podcast is coming back. Talks Podcast, both me and my wife are very busy, so I can't guarantee that we're going to get back to that right away. But I'm still trying to keep the Talks channel very, very active. I'm doing more and more vlogs. I'm also, I said Series 3 because it's the third series. We just wrapped Series 2. Now it's Series 3. Whoa, counting. I'm trying to keep the Talks channel very active. I'm uploading a lot over on Tailosive Talks. I'm also trying to keep movie reviews a bit more active. So I've uploaded like 3-4 movie review videos in the past week, and I got lots more coming. So now that I finally figured out, now that we're finally moved in, we're not focused on finding a house. We bought this house and we're moved in. I'm not preoccupied with all this kind of thing. I can finally just focus on my work and creating the content I want to make. So I have a lot more free time, basically, which is cool. So, yeah, I'm trying to keep all the channels active. I'm also doing a lot of gaming streams over on Tailosive Gaming on Twitch and then exporting them to YouTube. So I'm just trying to keep all the channels as active as possible. Counting with Drew, 1, 2, 3. Drew Ramsey. No, I don't agree with all the things Dave Ramsey says. He has good advice, I admit, but not everything. Not everything. How are you married at 21? I'm so surprised. I know, I'm young. That was a big concern of mine, but trust me, I thought about it. It was a big mental dilemma when I decided I wanted to get married, but I realized how young I was. The difference was I kept telling myself, oh, I'm too young to get married. I'm too young to get married. But I realized I was with a woman I loved. I knew that there was no way I was going to find someone better than her because she was incredible. She was this amazing, beautiful, smart, talented woman. And I was like, Drew, stop pretending like you're going to find someone better than that. You've already met someone who loves you, and she's way out of your league. And the main reason most people don't get married at that age is because they're still, like, figuring out what they want their career to be. They're still, like, pursuing college, or they're in school, or they have debts to pay off, or they're still at a minimum wage job. Like, a lot of people don't want to get married at that age because they haven't found out what they want to do yet, or they're not in their dream career position yet. The reason I decided to get married so young was because I knew I was with someone I wanted to spend the rest of my life with, and for two, I knew I was doing my dream job. I was working for YouTube full-time. I was in the career I wanted to be in for the rest of my life. I was like, okay, I'm not going back to school. I'm not waiting to get my degree. I don't have college loans. I don't have student loans to pay off. I'm not in debt. So the main reason most people don't get married at that age, none of those reasons apply to me. I don't have all these things that most people would be dealing with at 21. So I just decided, yeah, I'm pretty young, but I don't know what I'm waiting for. Most people would say they're waiting for their career, or they're waiting for the right person. And I knew all of the things were in line, and I couldn't be happier. I've never for 1 second regretted marrying my wife. She's incredible. I love her. Drew, don't you think Linus Tech judge Apple devices unfairly? Because I sure do. He has a certain perspective. I don't think it's wrong that he judges them unfairly. I don't judge Android phones fairly. I have a bias, and I'm sure Linus has one as well. I mean, watch his channel. That guy cares a lot about PC and building your own computer and that kind of thing. So obviously when there's a company that is catered towards not that and more catered towards making all-in-one designs and making devices that aren't repairable and upgradable, but they're just focused on being simple and easy to understand, that guy's not going to find them as interesting or as compelling. That's fine. He's welcome to do that. Just I wish more people would be upfront about their bias. Linus has a bias. I have a bias. That's all fine. That works. Do you think wireless charging for iPads is a good idea? If there was a safe and easy way to do it, then yes, but so far I don't think there is. I think Qi charging is a lot more complicated than most people think it is, and it does generate a lot of heat, and it's kind of inconvenient to use an iPad flat on a table, so if they did make Qi chargers for them, they would have to be big, and they would have to be able to hold up the iPad, so I don't think it's impossible. There's probably a good way they could do it. I haven't seen anyone been doing it right yet. I can't think of a company that's just nailed inductive charging on tablets. And until that day comes, I'll just say the tech isn't ready yet. Let's see. What podcast do you listen to? That's a good question. I haven't had a lot of free time. Most of my free time just goes towards generating content for you guys so you can watch and enjoy them. And I just want to be as active as a network as I can. That's why my Discord is always open. Whenever I'm here on this desk, Discord is right there. I'm trying to interact with all my fans. On the other monitor, Twitter is always open. I'm trying to interact with as many people as I can between all my different Twitter accounts. And usually right on my iMac Pro screen, Final Cut is always open. I'm always editing something. I'm either editing a tech video, a vlog, movie review, or I'm live streaming like I am right now, or I'm doing a gaming stream for Twitch or whatever. So I just try to be as active as possible. I don't really just have big chunks of time where I can listen to podcasts. So, yeah. Edward Super Chatted says, which features are you looking forward to the most on the new iPhones? Definitely, good question. Definitely the ultra-wide, the triple camera. I think there's going to be a lot of cool features hidden within that. Is also the bigger batteries I'm a fan of, and also the fact that Bloomberg is saying the new iPhones are going to be some of the most water-resistant phones on the market. That gets me pumped because I love having like super water-resistant phones, and also shatter resistance. I want to hear about what kind of glass changes they made this year to make them harder to crack. So those kinds of things are at the top of my list. There's a bunch of other stuff that doesn't excite me as much, but I think up there is the ultra-wide camera because I vlog almost every day with my iPhone. So being able to shoot 4K at 60 with an ultra-wide lens with my phone, that's going to be gorgeous. I can't wait. Brian Super Chatted said, hey, Drew, longtime fan, also an Apple fan, but like you, if I think they're wrong, I won't defend them. What would be your dream come true Apple product? Oof, that's a big question. I'm going to have to sign off here in a minute. I got to get going. I got an appointment at 6. Okay. Dream come true Apple product. Maybe it's just an iPhone without any ports. That'd be kind of cool. Dream come true Apple product would be like super thin and light Apple glasses with an all-day battery life, and they added holograms to all of our current Apple products. That would be dope, right? Imagine if the volume indicator didn't come in from the side, but it came out from behind your phone. And instead of notifications dropping down from the top, they came up behind your phone, not intruding on any of your content. So if they just released AR glasses that were thin and light and could project all over our devices and expand the experience, like you open your MacBook and with your glasses, you can just, boom, 2 monitors on either side of my MacBook, or boom, big TV on the wall with my MacBook right here. I don't even need to buy monitors anymore because I have my MacBook. So I feel like the AR glasses would be dream come true. Danny Hanna super chatted, said, did you hear about the Galaxy Home mini beta? Yeah, that was funny. They're already launching a beta for a smaller version of the Galaxy Home, and they haven't even launched the Galaxy Home. We don't even know how much it costs yet. So I don't know why it's taking them so long. It's been over a year now since they announced it, and we still don't know how much it is. It's crazy. HomePod wasn't that bad. They at least told us how much it was, and it only took them 8 months, which is still a long time from unveiling to shipping. But it's not as bad as 13 months. My God. How do you see the Watch Series 5 this year? Thank you, Santiago, for the super chat. Most likely, Series 5 is going to be pretty small, no matter if there's a Series 5 or not. If there is one, it's probably going to be just titanium, ceramic colors now available, and a faster CPU. That's about it. There may be some like blood pressure monitoring system, but the Series 4 was such a major upgrade. After you have a huge upgrade like the Apple Watch Series 4, you can't follow it up with another big upgrade. It's inevitable that when you have a super cycle like you did with the Series 4, it has to be followed up with something very incremental and small. So that's why the Series 5 is not going to be a major upgrade at all. But anywho, thank you guys so much for your support. We've had plenty of super chats tonight. You guys are amazing. I appreciate you all so much. You're awesome. I wish I could live stream forever, but if you feel like there's too many people here and you're not getting your question answered, I highly recommend you to check out the link in the description, or if you don't want to go down there, just look me up on Twitch, Tailosive Tech, same name and everything. I go live on there almost every other day. I do my best. There's our exceptions, of course, but those live streams are a lot smaller than these. So you're more likely to get your question answered. So please follow me over there. Also, I'll be live streaming my reaction to the Apple event over on Twitch. So if you want to watch the event with me, please do. I'll be happy to have you. It'll be a lot of fun. We usually have a ton of people there when that happens, so it'll be enjoyable, and I can't wait for you guys to watch my reaction to the new Apple event as it's happening in real time. So that'll be cool. Thank you guys for watching, and I will chat with you all later. Have a good day.